So, distributive property. So first thing I want to do, I want to show you why this works. So it says way 1, way 2. It's not really a way to distribute. This is just something to think about. So if I have 5 in front of a parentheses, just like when I have 5x, I almost wrote, sorry, that was loud dropping my pen. So if I have 5x, that's 5 times x. Just like if I have 5 in front of a parentheses, it's multiplication. But remember, for order of operations, you have to do parentheses first. So parentheses come first. So I'm going to add 2 plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So then I would have 5 parentheses 3. 5 parentheses 3. If a number is in front of a parentheses like that, or in front of an x like that, you multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. So that would be my answer if I was just multiplying like this. Now let's look at this way 2. This is where I'm going to distribute. So if I distribute 5 parentheses 2 plus 1, it's the same problem, but I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Since it's 5 times this parentheses, I can actually multiply this in. So you've always been told do what's inside of the parentheses first. Since this is 5 times the parentheses, and notice it's different than if it was 5 plus 2 plus 1. There's a difference. So since it's 5 plus, or since it's not 5 plus and it's 5 times, I can multiply into that parentheses. So I'm going to do it as 5 times 2. It's still positive, and then I'm going to do 5 plus 1, or 5 times positive 1. So I did 5 times 2 plus 5 times 1. Notice the arrows. And I probably should have done those in 2 different colors just so you could see the 2 different steps. So notice 5, oh, and then I wrote the wrong color, wrong arrow with the wrong color. But so 5 times 2 is this part, 5 times 1 is that part right there. Now we know what 5 times 2 is, which is 10, plus we know that 5 times 1 is 5. 10 plus 5 is 15. So our answer is still 15. It's just I can multiply this in. Now, in this case, it was definitely easier to add this and then multiply. But when we start using variables, so when you distribute with variables, that's when this gets a little tricky. We cannot do the first way. We cannot do x plus 2. Because we don't know what x is. It's an unknown. It could be 2, it could be 25, it could be 45. We don't know what this is, so we can't actually add that. All we can do is multiply this in. So 5 times x and again bring down the plus sign. 5 times 2 is 10. When we have a number and a variable right next to each other like that, we can write it as 5x plus 10. We don't have to write that multiplication right there. Sorry, that green is not very easy to see. So then that would be my answer. Notice I can't actually solve this because there's no equal sign for me. So now let's do this one. Okay, So I'm going to distribute. Notice there's equal 48. This whole thing, like if I was to circle the part with the variable, it would be this entire thing. So I'm going to distribute. 6 times x is 6x. Bring down the plus sign. 6 times 3 is 18. Bring down the equal sign, bring down the 48. Okay, now we have 6x plus 18. Now I can circle the variable and solve it just like I've been doing. So the opposite of add 18, I'm going to subtract 18 and subtract 18. 18 minus 18 cancels. 48 minus 18. 48 minus 18 is 30. Bring down your equal sign. Bring down the 6x. Okay, now we have 6 times x, so the opposite of multiply by 6 is divide and divide. So x equals 30 divided by 6 is 5. Okay, next problem, or last problem. This is the last one we're going to do. So if you look at this, if I wanted to circle this term with the variable, I could. And then I could get that off that side. I'm going to leave it alone. I always like to distribute first, not so that I don't miss anything. So I'm going to distribute first. Again, it's 5 times x, or not 5, sorry, 7 times x, which is 7x. Then I have 7 times 2, bring down the plus sign. 7 times 2 is 14. And then bring down the plus 3 equals 73. Okay, circle the variable. When I circle that variable, you notice that there's a 14 plus a 3. Those are like terms, there's no variable. So I can just add 14 plus 3, 14, 15, 16, 17. This would be 7x plus 17 equals 73. Okay, now I need to subtract 17. Subtract 17. You could circle your variable again if you wanted. Those cancel. 73 minus 17. Sorry, I'm not doing it in the calculator so you can see it. Is 56. Bring down your equal sign, bring down 7x, and then do your last step. 7 times x, opposite is divide, divide, x equals 56 divided by 7, which is 8. Now, if you have a better way to solve this, I was talking to somebody about this just the other day. If you have a better way to solve this that works every time, that's fine. I am not the teacher, or I'm not the person that's going to say you have to solve it my way every single time. Solve it whatever way works for you. As long as it gets you the right answer and you're mathematically doing the correct steps, I don't care which way you do it. Like I said, you could have subtracted that 3 off. However you want to do it, whichever way is easier for you. So that's distributive property. And notice it's using everything that we've learned. It keeps just building on top of each other. Combining like terms, distributing, subtracting, and then dividing. All of those things just keep building on itself, and it will continue to do that throughout your rest of your math classes. Okay, so I remembered that I did not have one with a negative, so I'm going to do an example with a negative. So notice we have 4 minus 5 with these parentheses. So the part that I need to distribute is this -5. So I need to do -5 times x first. That's the first thing that I have to do. So it would be -5x. Then I need to do -5 times +2. So notice that -5 needs to stay with. The ones that we were doing were all +7s or +6 or whatever. So this -5, since it's -5 times this parentheses, a negative times a positive x would just be a -5x. A -5 times a +2 would be -10. Bring down the 4, bring down the equals, bring down the 16. Now notice instead of it being a plus 5x, it's going to be a minus 5x. So I'm going to circle the term with the variable. And I think I forgot to write, sorry, I forgot to write a -4 right there. That's why. So that should be a -4. So then I have -4 minus 10. So -4 minus 10 minus 5x. Some people it might help to write it in this order. Some of you guys can just look at those numbers and be able to see it. But you can't always write it in order so that they're right next to each other. So if I owe you 4 and I owe you 10, then I actually owe you $14 minus 5x. And notice that's not multiplication, so it's not a negative times a negative equals a positive. It's subtraction, so it's like moving on a number line. So if I owe you 4 and I owe you 10 more, then I owe you 14 equals 16. Then I need to circle my variable again. So then I need to move this minus 14. Well, it's a -14, so change it to a +14 and a +14. -5x equals 16 plus 14, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Carry the 1, 1, 2, 3. So it'd be 30. And then, where is my green pen? Where did it go? There it is. And then it'd be -5 times x. So notice it's -5 times x. I'm not going to add the 5. I need to make this a divide by a -5. The positive and the positive, 5 and the 5 will cancel. And I need to divide by a -5 over here, so that it would be x equals a positive divided by a negative is a negative. 30 divided by 5 is 6. So x would equal -6.